Assalamu alaikum, dear students. My second lecture about the trauma to the orbit or globe is today basically about the trauma to the globe or globe trauma. Uh, Globe trauma can be of three types. Number one, it can be a blunt trauma which can lead to a closed injury. That is, it means that the walls of the globe remains intact. It can lead to globe rupture or open injury. It means that the globe's wall are not in contact contact, and it can lead to the expulsion of the ocular contents. And the second one is the penetrating trauma. Penetrating trauma means that there is no exit wound, only there is entrance wound. And the perforating injuries in which is actually having both entry wound and exit wound, mainly caused by the trauma by foreign bodies, projectile objects. What is the mechanism of blunt ocular trauma? There is anteroposterior compression, as we can see in this picture, and there is equatorial expansion. Okay, and this leads to transient increase into the intraocular pressure. So this is the main mechanism. There is anteroposterior compression, like we can see in this picture, and there is equatorial expansion at the level of the ocular or globe expansion at the equator level, and this leads to transient increase into the intraocular pressure. So this increase in intraocular pressure is mainly the cause of ocular injuries in cases of blunt trauma. When the patient comes to you with history of trauma, and we actually take we need to take a short history, and we are not going to examine the patient's very long in examination in the clinic, and we go for the investigations, because if you suspect there is globe trauma, so it means there could be a globe rupture also. So we do not do much of the manipulation. We actually have to see the examination, see the patient under anesthesia. So we do not manipulate much, we just go for the relevant investigations. And investigations, the most commonly done investigation is plain X-ray. Like this is the plain X-ray and shows intraocular foreign body. We can do the B scan in these patients, which shows again gently, which again shows a foreign body here into the vitreous cavity. So these are the different kind of investigations which we can do according to the facilities available. X-ray, if there is nothing available, we can do X-ray, and we can rule out whether there is an intraocular foreign body or intraorbital foreign body or not. And if you have the facility of ultrasonography, you can do the B scan also. The next important investigation is to do the CT scan. In this patient, we can see this is axial CT scan. How can we say this is CT scan? Because we can see the bone shadow here. Again, we can see a metallic foreign body here into the globe. This is axial CT scan. These are the sinuses. This is the globe, and this is the orbit showing the muscles, medial recti and the lateral rectus. Again, we can do the coronal CT showing lateral orbital wall fracture. Okay, and there is some fracture of the orbital floor also here in this picture. Here we can see a lateral orbital wall fracture. Again, this is coronal CT, which we have to do in cases of basically orbital floor fracture. This orbital floor fracture showing a teardrop sign. Teardrop sign means there is expulsion of the orbital contents into the orbital maxillary sinus. So this is known as teardrop sign, and this is basically in cases of orbital floor fracture. These are this is maxillary sinus. Okay. Then the second type is the other features of blunt trauma. It can, as I told you earlier, there is compression, anteroposterior compression, and there is equatorial expansion. The blunt trauma can cause damage to the cornea, which can lead to this corneal epithelial abrasion. If you suspect this is corneal epithelial abrasion, we need to stain it with the fluorescein, that is yellow dye, and we see with the blue filter, cobalt blue filter, and this will appear green. We have seen, I've shown these cases to you into the our outdoor clinics. Treatment in these cases is just the antibiotic eye drops, and because this is very painful condition, patients having severe pain, irritation, so we need to patch the eye for 24 hours, and then this kind of epithelial abrasion is usually healed within 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes we need to do the cyclopentolate eye drops also to make the eye more comfortable. Other features associated with blunt trauma, it can lead to interior uveal tract injury, which can lead to hyphema. This is a picture of hyphema. See, less than half of the anterior chamber is filled with hyphema. Hyphema, there is a level, and this is basically into the anterior chamber, and this condition we need to treat with bed rest. We need to treat with the topical steroid and topical cyclopentolate eye drops. This is gradually absorbed. But if this leads to high intraocular pressure, if it is associated with high intraocular pressure, we need to treat give the drugs to lower the intraocular pressure also. And this condition is known as osseous ring. Because of the trauma, there is imprinting of the lid margin. The pigment here of the pupil margin is imprinted onto the interior surface of the lens. This is visually inconsequential. It does not give rise to any problem with the visual acuity most of the time. This is total hyphema. See, this is severe trauma, and this is actually associated with corneal edema and very high intraocular pressure. So we need to treat this condition surgically. We need to do the surgical evacuation of the hyphema in this case. Here we see there is a tear in the pupillary margin. See, here the pupil is round, but there is sphincter rupture here. See, we can see here tear in the sphincter rupture. And if we do not drain this hyphema, this can lead to the corneal staining, and this is then associated with severe visual loss, and patient cannot see even if we patient subsequently leads to the corneal opacity. So before the development of this corneal staining, we have to remove this hyphema. See, and the other one is traumatic iridodialysis. The iris is disinserted from the base. This is the pupil, and we can see the lens here because iris here is disinserted from the vitreous base. And sometimes there is damage to the anterior chamber angle also. This can lead to the angle recession and high intraocular pressure. So in these cases, we have to do the gonioscopy to assess the angle of the anterior chamber. And if there is angle recession, we have to do the long-term follow-up of these patients, because these patients can present late with loss of visual acuity, significant loss of visual acuity because of the high intraocular pressure, and he is having angle recession glaucoma. So we need to follow the patients if we suspect any iridod angle recession on trauma, because the patient is going to have high intraocular pressure. So there is long-term follow-up in patients who have got angle recession on gonioscopy. There can be trauma to the lens, which can be a flower petal pattern type of cataract, and there can be traumatic mature cataract with subluxation also. Here we can see the edge of the lens, okay, and the patient can have dislocated lens. See, this lens is dislocated into the interior chamber. And here we can see the patient was having pseudophakia, and we can see the dislocation of the intraocular lens onto the surface of the retina or into the vitreous cavity. This is the optic, and this blue one is the haptic. So this can lead to the dislocation of the lens, traumatic cataract, subluxation, dislocation, this blunt trauma. Again, the next comes the retina, and the blunt trauma can cause commotio retina. Commotio retina, basically there is damage to the photoreceptors and there is damage to the pigment epithelium, and we can see this retinal edema because of damage to the RPE cells. This commotio retina can be peripheral or it can be central also, if involving the macula. If it is involving the macula, this is associated with significantly reduction in the visual acuity. And peripheral retina, usually this is unnoticed. Usually this condition is recovered spontaneously, but it may lead to traumatic macular hole if it is involving the macula. There is no treatment, we have to actually observe the patient, but there is chances of spontaneous recovery. The only problem is that if it involves the macula, this can lead to the traumatic macular hole formation. Then damage to the choroid, and choroid is ruptured. See, this rupture is usually concentric with the macula, and the complication associated with this choroidal rupture is later on formation of choroidal neovascular membrane. And here we can see this rupture is involving the fovea, and there is also some hemorrhage, and this condition is immediately the patient is having significant reduction in the visual acuity. This, as I told you earlier, the patient can have traumatic macular hole with subretinal edema. This traumatic macular hole can be primary, that is at the time of impact, it can be later on also, because of as I told you earlier, the patient is having commotio retina, and this subsequently can lead to the macular hole, and there is now macular hole and there is some surrounding edema also. Blunt trauma can also lead to the retinal dialysis. Like in this picture we can see avulsion of the retina, avulsion of the retina from the ora serrata. See, this is this margin, this is the retina, and this is choroid behind, so it is avulsed from the ora serrata. And here there is avulsion of the vitreous base. This is also known as bucket handle sign, and patient will not lose the vision immediately, but these patients are subsequently going to have retinal detachment. And then there is equatorial break into the retina, which can lead to the retinal detachment formation, and we need to treat this retinal breaks prophylactically. And if the patient develops the retinal detachment, we have to do the retinal attachment surgery. As I told you earlier, patient is going to have the macular hole formation at the time of primary trauma, primary globe trauma. Primary trauma, blunt trauma, can also lead to traumatic optic neuropathy, in which there is severe damage to the optic nerve at the level of the optic canal, because here the nerve is adherent with the dura at the level of the optic canal. So whenever there is anteroposterior trauma, this optic nerve is tethered and it leads to severe optic neuropathy. The other one is traumatic optic nerve avulsion. This is again because of the anteroposterior trauma, or sometimes if there is intrudement of any foreign body between the orbital wall and the globe, this can lead to the optic nerve avulsion. This is associated with severe reduction of the visual acuity. You can see a cavity here, and the visual prognosis is usually very poor. Traumatic optic neuropathy, the patients vision can be improved with mega doses of steroids, intravenous steroid. If you suspect traumatic optic neuropathy, the patient is going to have signs of optic nerve damage, and we need to treat this one. That here, when there is optic nerve avulsion, the visual prognosis is very poor, and there is usually no treatment if there is no foreign body intruded between the globe or the orbit. This is another feature of severe blunt trauma. As I told you, it can lead to the open injury, like we have discussed all these, or it can lead to an open injury. In open injuries, there is expulsion of the intraocular contents, and this is a grave situation, very poor visual prognosis, and we need to do the primary enucleation in these patients. And these are the now features of penetrating ocular injuries. There is corneal lacerations, and there is you can see this in here, and the lacerations with traumatic cataract. We need to repair these conditions. These conditions are needs primary surgical repair. And next is the scleral perforation, and see, we can see the iris and the ciliary body prolapse here, and we can see the vitreous here. These also needs a surgical management. And then there is perforating ocular trauma. I mean, there is entry wound and exit wound also, and we can see the foreign body here. Here the foreign body is in the T-chamber angle, and here the foreign body is lying onto the surface of the retina. Do not do the MRI if you suspect this is metallic foreign body, so we have to do the CT scan only in these patients. Okay, the treatment is to look for any associated systemic injuries. So we give the preference to the management of the systemic injuries first, and then we have to look for the tetanus status also, and give tetanus toxide, and we have to give the prophylactic topical and systemic antibiotics. You need to prepare the patient for general anesthesia, and subsequent or the final management is surgical management. Thank you very much.